Welcome to Matters Financial and Geopolitical from a Frontier. Thank you for stopping by. I hope you had a great weekend. Let's start with some macro thoughts. Just 9 weeks ago, the Volatility Index closed at 30.11. On Friday, it closed at 13.51. That's the largest 9-week decline in history, according to Charlie Bilello. And the Dow is on pace to log its 9th straight positive week, the longest streak since O.J. Simpson was found innocent in 1995. That's from Ramp Capital. My piece over the weekend was called Currency Puzzles. The currency markets remain the most liquid market of all in the world, and something equivalent to the Challenger Deep in the Mariana Trench, which is the deepest known point in the Earth's oceans. The FX market trades in excess of $5 trillion a day. Within the 24-hour cycle, the market exhibits liquidity peaks and troughs, and we have witnessed spectacular and exponential moves, typically in the early hours, when most of the world is in the land of Nod and liquidity is at its lowest. You might recall a night when sterling tanked 10 big figures, a night when the rand flash crashed, and even this year we saw the Aussie get creamed. Wizards and gremlins stalk the night. Once upon a time, the FX market was a voice-over market. Today it's entirely screen-based and algorithmic, and high-frequency trading is a big component, and both are heavily reliant on complex mathematical formulas and high-speed computer programs. HFT strategies utilize computers that make elaborate decisions to initiate orders based on information that is received electronically, before human traders are capable of processing the information they observe. Algorithmic trading and HFT have resulted in a dramatic change of the market's microstructure, particularly in the way liquidity is provided. The attraction of the FX market is that it allows all participants to deploy outsized leverage. Basically, you can deploy up to 200 times leverage. There is no other market that allows this level of leverage. The US dollar, notwithstanding endless chatter over its imminent demise, remains the dominant currency, representing around 60% of the market. Of course, the petrodollar underpins US power, and this is an observable fact. The US has frequently deployed coercive financial warfare strategies, and it works a treat. And in fact, President Trump has lobbed the odd tweet to good effect. But more than that, you can see how coercive financial warfare has ground the likes of Venezuela and Iran into the dust. That's the background. The market view pivoted big time on the dollar at the end of last year and priced out further interest rate increases, and has now priced in a rate cut. Typically, a reduction in interest rate expectations would soften a currency. However, the market has now absorbed the view that it will be a synchronized global slowdown and that the US will likely outperform. I stand by my view that the dollar will appreciate about 10% in 2019. The currency markets in Africa, however, have been idiosyncratic and endlessly fascinating. The Ghana cedi slumped to an all-time low last week and has weakened 8.6% year to date and is the worst performing currency in the world. Tito Mboweni, the South African finance minister, delivered a currency Yehudi Menuhin-level masterclass last week. He delivered his budget speech last week and began by presenting the alloy ferrox, which he says is resilient, sturdy, and drought-resistant. He then started with all the bad news, the proposed and expensive rescue of Eskom, and this sent the rand into an almighty tailspin and an orgy of rand selling. At one point, the rand was down 2% on the day. Then he rode back and he had all the rand shorts where he wanted them. The rand ended the day marginally positive. Mr. Mboweni's budget speech and the finesse with which he skewed his delivery, negative first and then gradually more positive, set the trap. He exhibited a feel for the markets which was seriously noteworthy. Zimbabwe finally overhauled its dysfunctional and whack and even voodoo FX regime. Zimbabwe's government dropped its insistence that a quasi-currency known as bond notes are at par with the dollar, as it overhauled foreign exchange trading and effectively devalued the securities. While the government has previously insisted that bond notes and RTGS dollars are worth the same as US dollars, the units currently trade at between 3.66 and 3.8 to the dollar, respectively, on the black market. The introduction of a Zim dollar will be just in name, but the RTGS dollar is essentially the Zim dollar. Tendai Biti is predicting a 6 to 8 range, whilst the government is looking for it to appreciate at 2.5, which is best characterized as Hail Mary economics. This is the right move, but I would definitely be short at 2.5 if it ever gets there, which is entirely unlikely. It got there actually because that's where the central bank sold on Friday. The Sudanese pound has been in free fall and its consequences are self-evident, with Omar al-Bashir imposing a state of emergency. Nigeria maintains a two-tier FX regime, a little like King Canute. It's entirely unlikely that Nigeria can accelerate out of the GDP slow lane with the current FX regime. The standouts in Africa from a currency perspective are Egypt and Kenya. Egypt's Al-Sisi devalued big and early, and the consequences of that bold economic pivot is there for all to see. Egypt GDP is likely to have a 5 handle in 2019, and the economy has now overtaken South Africa. And in Kenya, the shilling has appreciated by 1.6% in 2019 and is testing the key 100 level. The Dow Jones Index closed last week just 3% from its all-time high, so you can see plenty of enthusiasm, a strong rebound, and we'll come to that momentarily.